This is your one and only 𝐈𝐸𝐻81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and today we are covering beginner tips and tricks for V-Rising. Let's get to it. We're going to start by talking about the sun mechanic in this game because just like in real life, the sun in this game is an oppressive overlord always trying to kill you. But that doesn't mean you should fear it to the point that it keeps you inside all day. Even the smallest of shadows can give you relief from that giant fiery death ball in the sky. And when I say small, I mean super small. Unlike real life, this game just sees a shadow on the ground and says you are standing in it, so you are completely fine, even though you may be bathed mostly in sunlight. As long as you are setting foot in a shadow, you are fine. So this means doing things like even standing in the shadow of a small chest can give you protection from the sun. But if you just want to get out of it, you don't want to deal with it, and you are trapped and you cannot get back to your base, there are a few places that are covered in eternal shadow. Two places that I have found so far that are covered in eternal mist or shadow are graveyards and any of the waygates. So if you're out and about and you, for example, just need to go AFK, a waygate should be a safe spot for you to do that if you cannot get back to your base, and you will be protected from the sun. I don't recommend going AFK in a graveyard because you can kill everything in the graveyard. There is stuff there that wants to kill you. However, that stuff can respawn while you are there, so it's probably not the greatest idea to go AFK in the graveyard. Stuff doesn't respawn super fast, so I suppose if you just kill everything and then step away for a minute or two, you should be all right. And now that you know where you can find protection from the sun and how small of a shadow that you can hide in to stop the beam of death from killing you, let's cover the next tip that has to do with sunlight, and that is travel during the day. Especially if you are hunting down a boss. Hunt the bosses during the day. The reason for this is sometimes it can take a little while to find the boss. It could be clear on the other side of the map for you. If you decide to start going after this boss and tracking it down at nighttime, it could be a situation of by the time you get to said boss, it's now daytime, and then you can't fight the boss. Well, you can fight it in the day, but it's not a good idea. It's going to be a lot easier for you to fight bosses at nighttime, especially if it's a situation where that night falls on a blood moon, giving you boosts to your power. You can easily travel during the day relatively quickly in your dog form or riding a horse, bouncing from shadow to shadow to shadow with little to no issue. I find it really easy to just stay on the roads. There's plenty of shadows from the trees covering the roads, and you may have a little beam on you every now and then, but it's never going to get to the point where you take massive amounts of damage. There are even some places where there has been not a lot of cover across bridges and things like that, and I was able to cross them without taking any damage. This makes the best use of your time because you don't really want to be fighting during the day, so you spend the day playing walking simulator. Then once you get to the boss, it should be close to nighttime or nighttime at that point, and then you can fight the boss safely and efficiently. Next, let's talk about castle hearts. So everybody can place 2 castle hearts by default. At least that's what it is on my server, and my server is default settings. Even if you are in a clan, everybody gets 2 castle hearts and everybody shares those castles. So basically, you can have double the amount of castles to however many people are in your clan. If there's 2 people, you can have 4 castles. 3 people, 6 castle hearts. You get the idea. When you are placing your castle heart, if you pay attention on the screen, it tells you your possible buildable area percentage. You want to find an area that gives you the highest percentage possible. This helps keep you from being constrained in your build, giving you plenty of room. Note, this can be a little finicky at times, and at times it may show you a larger build area in an area where you think that there shouldn't be much of a builder area, and that is because of the way that castle extension works. Just trust the castle heart, it will not lead you astray. And that leads us to the next tip, which is stairs. Stairs allows you to extend your castle down cliffs and ravines and stuff like that. So if you have an area where you've built your castle, you feel kind of confined, look for a ramp, extend your territory over to said ramp, and then build a set of stairs. You don't need to build territory on stairs. The stairs come with a territory chunk and the stairs themselves, allowing you to build down the sides of cliffs, further extending your castle's reach. Now keep in mind that stairs are not covered, so this means that you'll have to run down an uncovered area during the day, but it shouldn't be much of an issue. Every place that I've seen should be plenty short enough that you only get a quick burst of sunlight running from one chunk of your castle to the other. This next tip is one that may have been obvious for some people, but other people may look over it, so I'm just going to point it out. You can label chests. You just click this little button up here at the top of your chest and then type in whatever name you want, and there you go. Now all your chests can be labeled, everything can be neat and organized, unlike my castle, which is a total mess. Wolves don't attack you when you're a wolf. That's it, that's the tip. This next tip is another build tip, and that is try to build your castle someplace close to one of the way gates. You eventually get to the point where you can make your own custom way gates in your castles, but having access to these fast travel locations in the early game can make traveling the map so much easier, especially when you are hunting down V-bosses trying to build your initial power. Keep in mind that in most cases, this is going to be a one-way trip unless you want to drop everything that you have collected, as most things will not travel with you through the Waygate fast teleportation system. Next, let's talk a little bit about gardening. So when you put your plants down, you may realize that you can't move your plants after you've placed them. And that's fine. All you have to do is just dismantle them instead of trying to move them, and you should get your seed back. I've tested this multiple times, and every time I did this, I got the seed back. Now it cancels all of your growth and you have to restart from scratch. And then I know it says you only get 75% of the resources back, but there's only one resource to get back, and that is the seed. So you should always get that single resource back every time you break one of your plants and or plantable trees. Like I said, I tested this many times, and every time I dismantled any of my plants, I always got the seed back. So if you need to move any of your plants, move your garden, what have you, all you have to do is just go into build mode, click on them, click dismantle, get the seed back, move them, and you're good to go. Next, let's talk about horses. So from what I can tell, you don't really own horses. You just find them on the map, you mount them, you ride them around, and wherever you hop off is where they will stay, provided they don't get scared by something. So this means if you find a horse, you can jump on it, ride it around, and it is for all intents and purposes now your horse, and you can ride it back to your base and securely store it somewhere in your base where nobody else can access it, because if they can access it, they can just jump on it and ride off with it, and now it's their horse. Note that horses do not seem to be permanent. From what I can tell, if you do not interact with them after a certain period of time, they will just despawn. So if you do bring them to your castle and you leave them in your castle and you log off for a while and you log back in, don't expect them to still be there. Also, mounted steering is a little wonky and a little different from steering your character. So when you hit W, A, S, and D, whichever one of those keys you hit, that is the way your character will run. However, with a horse, when you are mounted, W is always your forward button. So when you want to move forward, you hit W and you steer left and right with A and D, and then S will just back you straight up. It's a little weird and a little wonky, and I'm not sure why they made it different from the character movement, but I just wanted to give you a heads up on that for all of you who have not found a horse yet and tested that out. It's a little wonky and takes a little bit of time to get used to. I found the easiest way is to use the camera and always be moving the camera. So if you're holding down W, you also want to hold down your right mouse button and steer the camera with your horse at the same time, so you're always moving in a forward direction and the camera is always facing the way that you are moving. When you first start out, you are going to get stone structures before you get the stone coffin, and you are still going to have the wood coffin. And for some reason, the wood coffin cannot be built on any type of flooring, which is kind of dumb. But anyway, so it can't be built on any type of flooring, and you need flooring in an enclosed room to get a roof on your stone structure. So a real quick and easy workaround to that is just find a corner and section it off with two of the doorways, and that will create a separate room. And then you just don't put any floor down in that room, and you can put your coffin there. That will allow you to enclose the rest of your castle with a roof, leaving that section unroofed and unfloored so that you can keep your wood coffin in your base and in a secure area until you're able to build the stone coffin. Any sectioned off area, however you decide to section it off, is considered a room. So it just looks for square or rectangle shapes that are completely closed off. So you can make rooms out of all doorways if you want. You can take a whole row of doorways and then section that off from your castle, and it will see that as a separate room. This is super handy for when you start having to section off different parts of your castle to get bonuses to your crafting stations. Apparently, resource nodes are not always the same. So as you can see here, I have a few resource nodes that show up behind my house in this little sectioned off area here. And it's all stone type resources, but sometimes I will get copper, other times I will get the gem nodes, and most of the time I just get stone nodes, and it can be anywhere from 1 to 2. So if you see a copper node while you're out and about and you you think, I'll just come back to it later, it will always be here. It may not be in the same spot. When you come back, it could be a stone node, or it could be any type of the other nodes that can spawn in that given area. They don't always spawn in the exact same spot either. It looks like we have a grace period while we are building in which we can destroy structures and get 100% of the resources back. I'm not 100% sure how long that is, but you can see here on an old wall, I'm not able to get 100% back. I get 75% back, but on these walls that I just built, you can see I can get 100% of the resources back. You can respawn at any of the vampire waygates. That's it. I just figured this is one that some people may not realize because I didn't realize it at first, and now you know. If you die and you're really far from your base or a coffin, you can respawn at one of the waygates. All right, and as I am only 14 hours into the game, that is all of the hints and tips I have for you so far to help you on your journey. I will have more videos in the future as soon as I learn more about the game, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified when those are out. And if you have any hints or tips to help out new players, let us know down in the comments. You never know, they may make it into a video. All right, I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to my supporters on Patreon for making this episode possible. Y'all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to join my _Q Patreon supporters, please check out the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.